Alright, so the Eagles just made a couple big moves in hopes of maximizing their defense as they added a couple new coaches to the staff, and it seems like one of these guys in particular should really help the Eagles unlock the potential of some of their young guys, specifically Jordan Davis, who needs to step up next year. And just overall, what will these new coaches bring to the Birds? Meanwhile, one NFL legend seems to want to join the Eagles coaching staff as well, so could this happen? Plus, Jason Kelce just teased his potential return to the Eagles, so we're going to talk about all that and more news in this video today, and we won't waste any time. Let's get straight into it. Alright, so of course, you all know this at this point, but Super Bowl 58 is set as a matchup between the reigning champion Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers, and I don't know about you, but as an Eagles fan, y'all know who I'm rooting for. I mean, as much as I'm getting tired of the Chiefs being in the Super Bowl and being successful, I can't deny the greatness of Patrick Mahomes going to 4 out of 6 Super Bowls and not finishing any worse than the AFC Championship since he's been the starter, and also, I just can't stand the 49ers and those fans, so it's go Chiefs come Super Bowl Sunday. Plus, it makes it easier to root for the Chiefs since we obviously have some Jason Kelce ties there, with his brother Travis now going for his 3rd ring, and let's not forget, Travis was fully 100% on our side when we won back in February of 2018, and it's kind of an honorary Philadelphian sort of, so it's only right that we root for him, right? Now, after the AFC Championship, we saw Travis meet Jason down on the field in Baltimore, where Jason had a clear message for his brother.
I know it wasn't easy. I know it was a hard year. And you guys play true. Finish this mother about it.
And after that embrace with Trav, Jason only had great things to say about him and the Chiefs after the game.
They're in the dance. They're in the show. It is so hard to make it to the Super Bowl. They've been in, 4 of the last 6? So, I mean, it's remarkable to think of, how good they've been in this tenure since Pat Mahomes has taken over. And, obviously unbelievably happy for them, unbelievably happy for Andy, and I can't wait to be in Vegas to watch this matchup.
So it'll certainly be a fun matchup, as much as us as Eagles fans probably aren't the biggest fans of either of these two teams, but there's no denying that it'll be nice to see Jason at the Super Bowl, and who knows, maybe he gives us another hilarious moment like this. But getting back to more Eagles related news, Jason Kelce also recently had some comments that make it seem like he's going to be returning to the Eagles next year in some form or another, as he's still in the midst of contemplating retirement, as he recently told Olivia Rayner of the Philadelphia Inquirer, quote, "As a Philadelphia Eagle, incredibly disappointing season, especially at the end of it, and I really look forward to trying to prove people wrong, especially with some of the recent hires and Nick Sirianni. And there's a lot of things up in the air for the Philadelphia Eagles, but I think that as a player, you always look forward to going to battle with your guys." And he also added, quote, "And I don't know what's going to happen for me, but I do know I still want to be involved in the organization and still want to be a part of it, regardless of what the decision is, because I don't ever want to feel like I'm on the outside looking in on these achievements and these accolades and these opportunities that largely represent entire cities and fan bases and organizations. It's too good a feeling to pass up." So again, it sounds like in some form or another, Jason Kelce is going to be back with the Birds in 2024, and that's absolutely amazing. And if you listen to that first part of his statement there, I mean, it kind of sounds like he still wants to come back and play, saying things like, "I look forward to trying to prove people wrong," and "as a player, you look forward to going into battle with your guys." I mean, it at least still sounds like he wants to play. Now, whether that ends up happening or not, that remains to be seen, but regardless, it's just amazing to hear that Jason should be back with the Eagles in some role, whether that's maybe in the front office or coaching, like I've seen a lot of people speculating. I mean, the guy basically already is a coach in some form while playing, so maybe the Eagles could add him as an assistant offensive line coach to Jeff Stoutland, and then when Stout decides to eventually retire, you got the perfect replacement in Jason Kelce waiting right there to take over. But regardless of whatever he ends up doing, it's just amazing that Jason is still apparently going to be around regardless of what that role is. But again, it would just be really, really nice to have him suiting up at center for one more year. And if he were to do that, he of course would be playing under new offensive coordinator Kellen Moore, who, if you missed it, we did a whole breakdown on him in my last video and what he's going to bring to the Eagles offense and how he's going to be able to unlock certain guys. So if you want to check that out after this video, you can. But one thing I didn't really talk about very much in that video is how much having Kellen Moore is going to benefit one player specifically, and that is tight end Dallas Goedert. I think we can all agree that Dallas Goedert was criminally underutilized this past year. To the very least, he wasn't used correctly, but that's about to change under Kellen Moore. Because as It's a Philly thing on Twitter pointed out, Moore got a lot out of tight end Dalton Schultz in their time together in Dallas, and Schultz was a really good safety blanket for Dak at times, so I expect the same for Goedert this season, and I would expect him to have a great year under Moore. And the same goes for, of course, the 2 wide receivers in AJ and Smitty, and that's something we did go deep into in my last video, so again, check that out after this one if you want. But moving on, according to some speculation, another interesting dynamic could be added to that Eagles receiver room this offseason if the Birds do in fact decide to move on from current wide receiver coach Aaron Moorhead like it's been speculated, because one NFL legend has recently shown interest in that position if it's open, as former star Bengals receiver Chad Johnson, who's become a big supporter of the Eagles recently, took to Twitter and quote tweeted the Moorhead rumors saying, quote, "Can I join the Eagles staff as their wide receiver coach since I basically live in Philly?" Now this would be really interesting. I mean, Chad was a great receiver in his time, and he was a very, very good route runner, so maybe he would be a good guy to have around Smitty and AJ to help guide and mentor and of course coach them. That being said, I really don't know how realistic of a possibility this actually is, and Ocho doesn't really have any coaching experience either, at least as far as I know at any level, so I don't know if this would be the best move, but it is certainly interesting to talk about. So what do you guys think? Now moving on, we do actually have some other concrete news on the Eagles coaching staff, as the Eagles have brought in 2 new positional coaches, starting with the new defensive line coach, as Tom Pelissero reported that the Eagles are planning to hire former Seahawks defensive coordinator Clint Hurtt as their new D-line coach, and I think that this is a pretty good move. I mean, Hurtt has experience in this league. Sure, he wasn't the greatest as a defensive coordinator with Seattle, but he's had plenty of success coaching defensive linemen, and it is a great thing that he has experience being a defensive coordinator and also an assistant head coach apparently in his time in Seattle. Plus, Hurtt has also worked with defensive coordinator Vic Fangio in the past for a couple years in Chicago, and on top of that, he apparently also doesn't want to see guys dropping back into coverage too often, like we saw way too much from the Eagles this year, saying, quote, "I don't want to see guys going backwards." So overall, I think that this is a really good hire. And now Hurtt will come in and be tasked with trying to develop the young talent that the Eagles have on the defensive line. So it's a good thing that he's had success developing guys in Seattle, such as Uchenna Nwosu, who had 9.5 sacks in 2022 under Hurtt, or Darrell Taylor, who's had 3 solid seasons under Hurtt in Seattle, including a 9.5 sack year, and Boye Mafe, who just had a 9 sack season in his second year in the NFL. So imagine what Hurtt can do with talents like Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith, and Milton Williams. And Jordan Davis may be the most intriguing of those guys because we're all waiting for him to truly break out. Last season, he definitely got a lot better, and he was the main catalyst in the Eagles' run defense being so good to start the year, but he, along with the Eagles' run defense, really fell off in the second half of the season, and he's even admitted that. And a lot of Eagles fans have been kind of getting on JD recently, especially after seeing how good Ravens safety Kyle Hamilton was this year, with him, of course, being the pick right after Davis. Plus, there were rumors that Jordan Davis was out of shape or poorly conditioned during the season, so safe to say, JD is under some pressure going into next year. But I do really like the fact that we now have Clint Hurtt here to develop him. Like I said, he's been able to develop guys in the past who maybe aren't even as talented as JD, and Hurtt doesn't mess around either. Like, if you mess up, he's going to hold you accountable, he's going to let you know about it, he's going to make you do some push-ups or do something to make up for the mistake. He's just not going to allow some of the issues from last year, so I'm excited. I think Big Clint is a great hire who should be able to get the most out of guys like Jordan Davis, as well as Jalen Carter, Milt, and the other guys as well. And then to add on to the hiring of Hurtt, the Eagles are apparently expected to bring in Karl Scott to join the coaching staff in some capacity, potentially as their next DB coach, as he will be following Hurtt to Philly from Seattle, and I really like this move too. This is a good hire. Scott was a very good defensive backs coach and senior defensive assistant in Seattle, helping develop the young players and sending 4 total guys to the Pro Bowl the past 2 years, 2 of them being rookies. And the Seahawks defense was also one of just 10 NFL defenses allowing 1.2 passing touchdowns or less this past year, with Scott as the senior defensive assistant, which is a crazy upgrade from what we saw with the Eagles defense this year. Plus, Scott also coached many years at Alabama, where he oversaw the development of many talented guys like Trayvon Diggs, Pat Surtain, Jordan Battle, Brian Branch, and Xavier McKinney. So overall, again, this sounds like a great addition to the staff. And who knows, maybe he could help fix this secondary, which is, by the way, just full of young promising players like Keely Ringo and Eli Ricks. And like I just said, we've seen Scott help develop many of these young guys in the past. So I think he's a great addition, but what do you guys think? You can give me your thoughts on that or just anything else that I talked about in this video down below. And also, if you did enjoy this video and don't want to miss any other Eagles coverage coming throughout this entire offseason, make sure you subscribe and also, really importantly, turn on notifications, and also drop a like down on this video if you want to show some support. If you want to watch another Eagles video, you can check out this one right here. And with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.